We all know the story. Mild-mannered high school student Peter Parker is bitten by a radioactive spider and is transformed into New York's greatest superhero, the Amazing Spider-Man. In 2002, Sam Raimi brought the wall crawler to the big screen for the first time, changing Marvel's credibility on the big screen forever and launching one of the most profitable franchises in film history. Today, we're going to discuss the original Raimi action masterpiece in honor of the new Spider-Man movie coming out this Friday. So, without further ado, I'm Connor Eyzaguirre,
I'm Austin Johnson.
and this is Filmgazm. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to the Filmgazm podcast, coming at you live, sort of, from Hollywood, California. Today's episode is super special for a number of reasons, obviously.
Yeah, big fun here today. It's Monday night right now. We're recording this. We just got to LA, I guess, like 6 hours ago, and we're having a lot of fun. We got to go to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. We checked out a really cool, probably the coolest music movie shop I've ever been to, called Amoeba. Connor got a couple things. We're definitely going to double back before we leave, and we got a fun couple days planned out as we just kind of venture out and do some things we've always wanted to do. Go to the Academy of Motion Pictures, the museum, and go to Quentin Tarantino's New Beverly Cinema Theater. Probably going to go see Licorice Pizza. It's going to be fun. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is a long time coming. This is a big deal for us, and we're so excited to be able to do this. And record a podcast in Los Angeles. How cool is that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're probably gonna do another one out here because it's just fun. It's fun to do these. You and I very rarely get to do them in person together, so we're usually using Zoom and doing them over the phone, a computer, whatever. So this is really special.
Absolutely. And with Spider-Man No Way Home coming out on Friday, we decided to just do full-blown Spider-Man week on all of our shows.
Yeah.
And Filmgazm got Spider-Man 2002. One of my favorites.
It's the best. It's the best live action one. So it feels right to kind of kick off the week doing this. And then on Oscar Sunday, we're going to do Spider-Verse from 2018. And then, of course, sneak preview. We'll cover the new one. So, yeah, it just feels right to do this one. We haven't covered any Spider-Man movies before on any podcast. So I think we were kind of waiting for this weekend, this day, to kind of shed light on. And yeah, to me, it's the best one. The 2002 one, Sam Raimi, is my favorite Spider-Man movie ever.
Yeah, we so rarely ventured into superhero films. We did Batman Returns last Christmas, but that was more because it was a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It's just, we like to kind of keep it weird on Filmgazm, and superhero movies, while fun, are kind of, I don't want to say predictable, but pretty mainstream. But this was just too big to ignore. Spider-Man. It's a film that's definitely at least partially responsible for my love of superheroes. I saw this movie when I was 7 and never looked back.
Yeah. Good point. We were both born the same year, so I was 7 as well. This and Parts of the Caribbean and Curse of Black Pearl were the first two PG-13 movies that I was able to go see in theaters, and it was no big deal with my parents and everything. Just Spider-Man, and I'll never forget that. I've owned them ever since. Right? They're just super special. But it's not just that. There are movies that I adore from being a kid. Movies like Space Jam and shit like that. This movie fucking rocks. And rewatching it, with the intentions of talking about it today on the podcast for you guys, it's a great movie. It's like a through and through 9 for me. It's not even like it's an 8 just because I like it. It's from my childhood and it holds a special place. It has all that, but it's also really good. Every supporting performance is 10 out of 10. And I really like Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, as Peter Parker more. So this movie rocks. Spider-Man 2 rocks just as much. So it's a lot of fun. Raimi's trilogy, in my eyes, even though 3 slips up, just can't be touched by the other Spider-Man movies. There's just not really a way to capture that kind of rawness of it. And the fact that it came out almost 20 years ago is just nothing really compares. And I you and I were just watching the first Tom Holland Spider-Man in our hotel as we were kind of planning out this episode. I like those, but there's something about this Spider-Man that he's on his own I just really, really like. He's on a journey of his own. It gets dark.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the Garfield movies and the Holland movies, that's great. But
Yeah.
something about those films always feels like they're playing catch up to this one. And I don't know what it is. If Raimi just captured it perfectly. He captured the Spider-Man struggle, photographer trying to make money in New York while also trying to save everybody, but, at the cost of his personal life. It just feels more real with these movies. And that's fantastic.
And New York in those movies is just bonkers.
New York's a character.
Yeah.
Like, straight up.
Yeah, we love New York movies. Of course, if you love movies, you love New York movies. And Spider-Man, especially this first one, just really captures kind of the dark underbelly of it in a really cool way that I don't see the other movies kind of going for. This one feels, again, more raw, more authentic, and just kind of true to what Spider-Man is, which is a guy who doesn't really know who his parents are, has lived with his, aunt and uncle, and his uncle passed away. It's just like, it's really dark. His way of coming up into his own. And he's on that journey. The whole trilogy, Raimi's trilogy, is on his own.
I think that's kind of the most likable aspect of Spider-Man. He has a very similar origin story to like Batman. He loses somebody he loves. He's responsible for it. His girlfriend dies. It is partially because of him, but he never lets it get him down. He always is upbeat and optimistic and doing the right thing. And I think that's what makes him so, easy to idolize. Such a great character to look up to.
Yeah, he's my favorite comic book character of all time. Like, of course, I love these movies, but the idea of Spider-Man is so cool to me. I love Batman. I really like Superman. I like everybody. I have. There's stuff I like about every character. Iron Man, Thor. All those people.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man. It's partly because of his age. He's really young. I like that about him. And like you're pointing out, those kind of humanistic factors that play into it, I really dig that. It's relatable. I feel like in a different reality, I could be a Spider-Man. I feel like we all can feel like we can attain that. There's other characters not so much. Like who can really be Tony Stark? Who can really be Bruce Wayne? But Peter Parker is a guy that we all feel a little bit. It's like in us, and I love that about him.
Not to get too ahead of ourselves, but Into the Spider-Verse had that kind of message of like anyone can be Spider-Man. All you have to do is care.
Yeah, do the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Before we get too much into Spider-Man, I do have one quick update on the Rewind. Once again, we're updating our past episode on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. A lot of chainsaw stuff happening lately. Gun Interactive, the company behind the Friday the 13th game, launched a teaser trailer for an upcoming Texas Chainsaw Massacre game starring iconic horror legend Kane Hodder as Leatherface. He's going to be doing mocap as Leatherface. He did mocap to play Jason in the Friday the 13th game. And this looks interesting. Next year's looking like Leatherface's year. Hopefully they don't fuck it all up.
It's a video game.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? You just got to escape Leatherface?
Probably, yeah.
Or are you playing as Leatherface and you're just destroying everything that comes into your path?
I imagine it's going to be a lot like the Friday the 13th game where like some people play as the victims and somebody plays as Jason.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
That's awesome. That's so great. Just ruining Texas. Yeah. Right.
But with that and Fede Alvarez's new movie that's finally happening on Netflix, next year's going to be a big Leatherface year. I hope it all works out.
Yeah. As fans, that's all we can hope.
Yeah. Okay, that's enough of that. Spider-Man was created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko, made his first appearance in Marvel Comics in 1962 in Amazing Fantasy number 15, a copy of which recently sold at auction for $3.6 million. So if you have one of those, hold on to it.
Yeah. Or sell it right now for $3.6 million.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's since become one of the most popular and iconic comic book characters of all time, kind of the face of Marvel Comics, which is funny because originally nobody wanted it. Stan Lee couldn't sell Spider-Man. Everyone was like, this sounds stupid. He hid it in an X-Men comic for the guy to look at, and the guy accidentally started reading Spider-Man. He's like, you know what? This isn't bad. And there you go. I love that.
Yeah, love those stories of, pop culture where something that wasn't supposed to be all of a sudden, years, 40, 50 years later, it is, and it's flourishing, and has now over 2 decades had the most movies made about him out of anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. This keeps getting, they keep starting from scratch with Spider-Man.
Yeah, I guess Spider-Man and Batman are at the top of the totem pole with the most movies made about them over the past 2 decades. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You'd think Superman would be up there, but they can't seem to get that right.
Yeah, they unfortunately, I've had a couple slip ups, right, where it's like the fans just can't forgive it. At least with Spider-Man, you have the Raimi. This is real, and the Garfield ones are mixed reviews, and with Batman, it's like it came off Begins in 2005, blew everybody's minds, and Dark Knight, which of course just shattered everything, and that's huge when you have that as a start. You can make those mess ups in between, and then come full circle.
Well, it looks like Spider-Man's in a really good place right now with the Spider-Verse film being a huge hit and that getting a sequel, and then No Way Home kind of bringing all of it full circle, including the Raimi villains and the villains from the Garfield movies. Like it's a good time to be a Spider-Man fan.
For sure, and it's cool because it's bringing everybody together. I think Marvel movies are obviously are dominant, but this is the one I think it's gonna be an event at the theater. I think a lot of people are gonna go. A lot of people are gonna get their asses out of their off their couches, and go to the theater, which is a big deal, right? I think with the movies we've seen over the past year with them, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and Eternals, there's been pockets of fans. This is like for everybody, and that's a good feeling. That's it. It really, we haven't had that since Endgame, and that's cool. That's cool to have that back.
It's been a long time since we had an event film like this that was going to break records. Because obviously last year there was COVID, and then this year it's been steady going, getting back to the box office, getting back to regular numbers. But this thing's projected to make 200 mil opening weekend.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah.
I can't wait.
I know. I'm not sure exactly which day I'm going to see it, but I am going to see it this upcoming weekend, and I can't wait.
So, after a 30-year journey, including suggested treatments from Roger Corman, an 80s attempt starring Tom Cruise as Spider-Man, Bob Hoskins as Doc Ock, Katharine Hepburn as Aunt May, and Stan Lee himself as J. Jonah Jameson. This was the 80s attempt. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I want that movie so bad. If I could have... I mean, that's risky business, Tom Cruise, and that's on Golden Pond. Katharine Hepburn. If I could have that, I think I would give up a lot of Spider-Man movies to have that. That would be so fascinating. But in the 80s, how would it work with Spider-Man? He's such a tough character to film because you have so much going on, the webs and the usage of he's a high flying character and is all over the place and requires technology to really pull it off, which is why the Sam Raimi ones are so incredible. It's 20 years old and they still look amazing. But I wonder what this would have done to Tom Cruise's career, right? How it would have changed, because he was a star already, but being in a superhero movie.
Being a superhero movie now is big.
Back then,
but back then, not so much.
And it got ruined, right? It got ruined by other superhero movies. Like movies like Spider-Man and Dark Knight and The Incredibles, like those had to happen for it to be cool again.
Well, you can thank the colossal failure of Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. That's what killed the 80s Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Probably for the best.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. And at that time it was not cool. Those comic book nerds were nerds. Yeah. And now they're at the forefront.
Yeah, I think, Tim Burton's 89 Batman movie went a long way towards getting superhero movies a little respect.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until, I'd say Blade and X-Men that really made them successful.
Yeah, right, because you have Batman and Batman Returns. Both did well, and pretty niche movies though, and definitely have their audience. And then you have those Schumacher ones that just boom, things go back downhill. And then Blade is a cool ass movie, X-Men's a cool ass movie, and then from there we just kind of started mastering it here in America.
And then Spider-Man grossed $800 million box office, and suddenly there was a new subgenre in town.
Yeah, beautiful.
So there was that. There was the Corman attempt, the 80s attempt, and then in the 90s, James Cameron had a treatment where I don't know what the fuck he was smoking, but he changed so much. He wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger as Doc Ock. He had a goofy catchphrase. He kept saying "okie dokie." More on that towards the end of the show. I have a whole thing devoted to that weird ass treatment.
Yikes.
So after all that shit, Spider-Man finally made it to the big screen in 2002 with Sam Raimi at the helm. And Sam Raimi was chosen mainly because he's an avid comics collector. He's got over 25,000 comic books. So he knew, like, he wanted to do this right, which is good. He stuck pretty much by the book.
Yeah, God bless him. He's a wonderful filmmaker in his own right without the Spider-Man movies. But choosing someone like him, taking that plunge with someone like him, who's a unique filmmaker at the time already, and then has got, I mean, to me, what he does right after Spider-Man Drag Me to Hell is one of his best efforts ever. And I love that they chose someone like him who's just passionate. It goes to show, if you choose guys like him, James Gunn, these guys who just give a shit. They just give a shit about the nerds, about the culture, about doing it properly, and making that cool. I really respect that, and it worked out. It worked out really well.
Yeah, everyone fucking won for this one. Sam Raimi is the iconic director behind the Evil Dead franchise, obviously, as well as Drag Me to Hell, Darkman, A Simple Plan, and Oz the Great and Powerful. He's set to direct Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in 2022, so he's going back to the comic book well. Very excited to see what he does with Doctor Strange.
Oh my God! Yeah, are you kidding me? He clearly, there's the Jameson joke where in Spider-Man 2 where he's like calls Doc Ock Doctor Strange. Jameson does. Like, he clearly has this just affinity for everything Marvel, everything comics, and to see that come back around to a master of the craft. Oh gosh, so cool. That 2016 one's already awesome, but Doctor Strange. But this is going to be, to me, tenfold better.
Yeah.
It's got a guy like him in charge. Yeah, look
out. So let's get into the cast of this thing. Tobey Maguire plays Peter Parker, the Amazing Spider-Man. Maguire was also in Seabiscuit, The Cider House Rules, Wonder Boys, Pleasantville, The Great Gatsby, and of course the 2 Spider-Man sequels. To many, the definitive Spider-Man. Me, I don't know, maybe. It's hard to pick for me. I love pretty much all 3 of these guys.
Maguire, Garfield, and Holland.
Yeah,
me too. I think they all have their own things. I think Holland has the best balance of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Yeah. I think Garfield was a great Spider-Man. I'm not sure if he's a great Peter Parker. I think Tobey was a wonderful Peter Parker and a decent Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Tobey he's always going to have, he had 3 movies that did really well, and he's always going to have those fans who grew up with it, right? Who are just like, no, Tobey's the man, and they're never going to give that up. And I think I'm one of those people who's like, no, like, there's nothing Tom Holland could do. He could give an Oscar-worthy performance, and I'd be like, no, Tobey's better. I think that's just a cultural thing. I think it's when you're a certain age, when you see something, it's hard to get your mind past it.
Yeah.
Even though Tom is great, this British kid comes in and is just like, what? This guy's perfect.
Yeah.
He's great. What I love about him is he fits so well in with, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans and these different guys who are A-list actors, and he's kind of put himself into that spot. I can't wait to see what decisions Tom Holland makes the next 5 to 10 years, because so far he's been a little, like, in my opinion, immature with his decisions for roles. Aside from Spider-Man, some movies that just aren't very good. I do like that one that he's in with Robert Pattinson, Devil All the Time.
Oh yeah,
I did like that role.
Forgot about that one.
But all these other ones, like Cherry, like just kind of just these forgettable roles, performances I just don't care for. And I hope he makes, because he's got something in him that's really special. So I hope he makes the right decisions. But Tobey, I don't really even know what to point to besides the Spider-Man movies. For if I'm looking at a resume, Cider House Rules, not for me. Charlize Theron's really good in it, but he's not. Delroy Lindo's really good in it, but he's not. He's like the weak link, and he's the main character. Michael Caine's great in it, but he's not. Seabiscuit, not for me. I just don't love his career.
Yeah, I like Seabiscuit. I like a good, underdog story. You ever see Pawn Sacrifice?
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
That's all right. That's a good call.
He played Bobby Fischer and really showcased how tortured that guy was. But overall, I've heard rumors that he's difficult, that he's a bit of a sadist. But whatever.
Andrew Garfield, on the other hand, he's like easily the most talented of the three when it comes to everything.
Yeah.
And Hacksaw Ridge and Social Network and Tick Tick Boom, like he's lights out. I love that guy.
I saw earlier this year The Eyes of Tammy Faye, where he played televangelist Jim Baker. Good God. Was he great. Oh, I hope that movie doesn't get ignored at the Oscars because they both deserve attention for that. Him and Jessica Chastain.
Chastain's a freak.
We're so good.
Yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio played Jerry Falwell. Good God, man.
D'Onofrio. I love that guy. Underrated.
Yeah.
Garfield's got talent like oozing out of him. He's a legend. Oh, I mean, his scene in Social Network when he finds out that he only has like 0.02% stake in Facebook, and he goes over to Eisenberg, to Zuckerberg, and he's got his earbuds in, and he's like, Justin Timberlake, oh, he's wired in. He's like, you still wired in? And then he smashes his laptop. That's the best. Toby could never do that. Tom Holland could never do that. Garfield's got something like really, really special. I think those movies just mismanaged. Wrong director probably. Just mismanaged. And they didn't do the villains right. I don't think those movies are shit like some people say. They're fine.
The first one has grown on me. I watched it again recently, and it's good. It's good. It struggles. It doesn't live up to the Raimi films. That's the only problem for the first one. But he's great. His chemistry with Emma Stone is great. Rhys Ifans does a great job as the Lizard.
Oh yeah,
he was really good. Dennis Leary as Captain George Stacy. That was great. Martin Sheen and Sally Field as Uncle Ben and Aunt May. I mean, come on. So there's a lot to like about that one, but Amazing Spider-Man 2 is just a mismanaged shit show.
Yeah.
I can't do that one. I've tried. It's too long. There's no reason Rhino needs to be here. Electro is a nerd. Green Goblin is forced in there. It's not great.
Yeah. No. Mismanaged.
Oh, but Toby's good. Oscar nominee Willem Dafoe plays Norman Osborn, the sadistic Green Goblin. Dafoe was nominated for his performances in Platoon, Shadow of the Vampire, The Florida Project, and At Eternity's Gate. Some of his other notable performances include The Boondock Saints, American Psycho, Wild at Heart, Born on the 4th of July, The Last Temptation of Christ, Finding Nemo, and The Grand Budapest Hotel. And that's barely scratching the surface. He would reprise his role as Norman Osborn in the 2 sequels, as well as the upcoming Spider-Man No Way Home. And he may be the greatest thing about this franchise. Dafoe's Goblin is so special.
Yeah, good God. There's nothing bad to say about what Dafoe really ever in his career. And as Green Goblin and as Norman. Like, good night. At the beginning of the movie, and I love those scenes when, they're like, Norman, you're out. And he's like, I built this guy. You know
how much I sacrificed?
He just freaks out on a dime. He's so good. And those bits of dialogue, he is to me the best thing that's ever happened in any of the Spider-Man movies. Him and another guy we'll talk about in a little while.
Yeah.
Mr. J.K. I think Willem Dafoe, there's tidbits of dialogue, like sleep. Those things I still say now, and I always will say. And can Spider-Man come out to play when he's on the phone? Like, God, it's so creepy and so demonic. I love it so much. I love his character. I love that I love when he knows he could kill Spider-Man. He's like, I could squash you like a bug. And he doesn't, because he's like, maybe I can get him to be on the same side as me. We could run this city. We could just destroy it, That doesn't happen, but he really gives it his all. And he beats the shit out of Spider-Man at the end of the movie. Like, Spider-Man should have been dead. He's just fucking smashing him in the face over and over. And I love that. I love the ending with him when he fakes like he's like, I was like a father to you, be a son to me. And he presses the button on his suit. I love all of that stuff. I adore what Dafoe's doing. I adore the Thanksgiving scene when he has the knife and fork. Yeah. And he tries to reach for the chicken or the turkey, and Aunt May slaps his wrist like, man.
He does that creepy slurp thing on his fingers. Yeah. It's so unnerving the whole time.
He's lights out. He is. I love Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, but Dafoe is slightly better.
Yeah, this was the movie. This introduced me to Dafoe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This and Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
I was like, who's the voice of Gil? That guy's creepy. I was 8 years old.
And I love that Dafoe himself wanted this so hard. Like he found the script. He was like, this is a great character. He lobbied for it. He fought for it. He did 90% of his own stunts because he thought the stuntmen couldn't convey the proper menace in the Goblin costume. So he's like, I'll do it. He came back for cameos in 2 and 3. He's coming back for the new one. Like, this is the role. I think this is the role he loves the most of his career, which is really cool.
Yeah, and that really is how it should be with these fucking amazing, fun comic book superhero movies. Like, they should be really memorable. Every actor should like have a lot of fun giving it their all, you know? And when that doesn't happen, it's really disappointing for us. But Dafoe never lets us down. Never, ever.
You ever see that video of it was on the set of Spider-Man 2. Sam Raimi's bringing Alfred Molina out for like a conference, like to prepare for a scene. And he's like, well, Alfred, I think we're going to go with something more like this. And they brought Dafoe on set to play Doc Ock for a scene. And he's like doing Molina's bit. And he's on the side just laughing his ass off. It was so great.
That's amazing. God, I love it. I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to, in the new one, more Dafoe saying whatever or laughing, or Alfred Molina saying, hello, Peter.
I'm excited to see them. I hope they have an exchange. I want to hear them talk together. I want to see that.
Christ. 2 just incredible character actors.
What I hope we see, I hope we hear the laugh, we see the bomb, and then his theme starts playing. And that's when you're like, oh, fuck, it's him.
So good. So good.
Cool. All right, moving on. Kirsten Dunst plays Mary Jane Watson, Peter's true love. Dunst was also in Jumanji, Interview with the Vampire, Elizabethtown, Bring It On, and the TV series Fargo and On Becoming a God in Central Florida. She recently starred in The Power of the Dog alongside her real-life fiancé, Jesse Plemons.
Yeah, her and Jesse Plemons in Fargo. Yeah. Season 2.
I like her in the first 2, and in the third one, I feel like her character was brutally mismanaged.
Yeah, this is the one spot where nothing against Dunst. I think this character could have been done a little bit better. I agree with you. I think the first movie, she's good. The second one, she's so fucking distressed the whole time. Yeah. You're just like, good night. She looks so tired all the time. And that's the one where she becomes an actress, on Broadway and is like fulfilling her dreams. And the third one, yeah, yikes. There's that kind of downfall. But there's something about her that she seems uncomfortable at times. Maybe that's what Mary Jane's supposed to feel like. I don't know. No. Right? In the comics, it's not that way.
Well, she's a constant upbeat source of pride and support for Spider-Man the whole time. She's always like in his corner. She's very just like they're a unit. And in these movies, it really just feels like they're constantly beating her down. They're constantly like taking her dream away, making her just have a nightmare of a life. I don't know if that's supposed to make like Peter's life look better by comparison or like why they keep doing that to her. But through all 3 movies, she just has the worst fucking time of it.
Yeah. And I when I was rewatching it, I was just kind of like, ew. That one scene when towards the beginning when she's because they're neighbors. Yeah. And she goes outside, and it's just kind of feels cheap. That scene where the parents are just yelling at each other. It's just bullshit. It's just like it's shit you hear on like sitcoms, and just like, no, I'm going out. No, you go out. Take the trash. It's just like there's no substance to it. And like you said, it was just like, what are we supposed to feel here? Like, Peter's got it good with Aunt May and Uncle Ben.
I think it's supposed to be like Peter's the first person to ever be encouraging to her, and that makes her fall in love with him. That's what it is. That's why they did it like that.
Yeah, fuck. This movie moves fast.
It does.
It's 2 hours, and it does not fuck around. Like how quickly it gets to the point of like he is Spider-Man. Yeah,
I love it. I can't wait to go through this story.
Yeah.
Oscar nominee James Franco plays Harry Osborn, Peter's best friend. Franco was nominated for his performance in 2010's 127 Hours. He was also in Pineapple Express, The Disaster Artist, Spring Breakers, This Is the End, The Interview, and Oz the Great and Powerful. And I used to really like James Franco until certain allegations rose, and we haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah. All that stuff is disappointing, to say the least. I do. I like him a lot, though, as a performer. I think he's a really unique guy in that kind of Judd Apatow crew of Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill, all those guys. He's always been the one that obviously seems like he's willing to kind of do whatever and act in all kinds of ways. I love The Disaster Artist. I think him and his brother Dave Franco are so awesome in that movie. It's got such a cool cast. I love him in This Is the End. The movie fucking cracks me up.
I love the cardboard cutout of the Green Goblin in his basement.
The movie's awesome. When he's going up to heaven, he's like, "That's right, bitch," and then he gets sent right back down. And Danny McBride just like has his way with him. So weird. Oh my god. So weird. The movie's so bizarre. Channing Tatum is like his bitch. Danny McBride, he's like, "Stop." He like has him on a leash. The movie, if you haven't seen that in a while, go check it out again. It's so weird.
Yeah, that's a fucking crazy movie. But yeah, I think Harry's arc in these movies is really good. Just from, you know, Peter's best friend, he's clearly jealous of Peter's relationship with his aunt and uncle. He doesn't have a great relationship with his father, despite the fact that he's, you know, filthy, stinking rich. And then just, you know, thinking Spider-Man killed his dad and having a grudge grow between him and Peter because he thinks Peter's protecting Spider-Man, then finding out Peter is Spider-Man, and then wanting him dead, and then finding out he was innocent, and then becoming, you know, saving him from Sandman. It's fucking great. Like, the whole roller coaster of their relationship is one of my favorite things about these movies.
Yeah. And in the first one, you know, I love our introduction to Harry when Norman, his driver, drops him off, and he's like at that field trip, and he's like, "Pull around the corner. I don't want to get dropped off. These are public school kids. I don't want to get dropped off in the rolls."
And Norman's like, "I don't understand. Like, why would you be ashamed of who you are?"
He's like, "Well, if you didn't fail out of all the private schools I sent you to, you little bastard." I love the tension between them two is fucking hilarious. And it's Willem, you can tell he's kind of like showing James Franco the ropes, like as an actor, and then of course as father-son in the movie. You can see it. You can see like Willem sees potential in Franco, and he's like, "Let me show you how it's done."
I love little bits of dialogue between like Norman and Peter and Norman and Harry. Like when he sees Peter at graduation, he's like, "You know, I bet you wish your uncle could be here right now. I'm sure he's proud of you." And then to Harry, he's like, "Well, I've been proven wrong before." Like, fuck you, Norman.
Well, yeah, he's like, "You got the science award. Like, good job, Peter."
When he offers Peter a job and he's like, "No thanks, I'd like to earn what I get." He's like, "I respect that. You want to make it your own way." While Harry's right over there mooching off daddy's money.
Oh yeah, and then the second one, Harry is just, oh my god, he's off his rocker. He disrespected me by even touching me. And he puts those shitty like Oakley sunglasses on. I love him in the second one because it's like he's a pompous like director.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he's Paul Thomas Anderson in 1998. It's like, oh my god.
Well, he's got to live up to his father's image of him. Well, he's got to, you know, take control of Oscorp while at the same time he's hunting down Spider-Man, who he believes killed his father. And then his best friend he believes is harboring him. So all of that resentment just kind of builds up until it explodes at the engagement party, which is like Peter's like the worst night of his fucking life, where he sees the woman of his dreams get engaged to another man, and then his best friend publicly like slaps him.
Yeah, that is a rough go for Pete. In the second movie, and Jameson's like, "Peter, wake up, take the shot. What are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just contemplating death right now because my life sucks." Oh, I love that. The second one's great.
Yeah. Oh, these are fucking great. Oscar winner Cliff Robertson plays Ben Parker, Peter's kind-hearted uncle. Robertson won his Oscar for his performance in 1968's Charlie, a film I've always wanted to see. He was also in Escape from L.A. as the sadistic, hyper-Christian president of the new United States. I love that. I love bits of that movie. 3 Days of the Condor, and 28 episodes of Falcon Crest, among many other projects. He died in 2011 at 88 years old from natural causes, but he's pretty much considered the definitive Uncle Ben. And
rightfully so.
Yeah. Him and Rosemary Harris are perfectly cast as Uncle Ben and Aunt May. And you just, you feel bad for his, the last conversation Peter has with Ben where he's like, "I'm not your father. Stop pretending to be." Like, fuck, man. I can't imagine that being the last thing I said to a loved one. And then being responsible for their death. Fuck, man. No wonder he's, so
fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. And again, these in these other movies, there's people who kind of care about Peter Parker. Peter Parker doesn't really have anybody, He's he's got Aunt May in his corner, but she's just this old lady who's now a widow, right?
Yeah.
The Uncle Ben stuff, how quickly Cliff Robertson's able to steal you as an audience member is so impressive. He's dynamite. I love, he calls him Michelangelo. I love when Peter comes home from getting the bite, and he's like, oh, I'm not feeling well. I'm gonna go to bed. And it's like fucking 5:00. the sun's still out, and then he wakes up and is like running off the walls, and Cliff Robertson's he's like, oh, teenagers, hormones, they never change. It's so good. He's awesome. I want to watch more of his movies. Like you said, Charlie. 3 Days of the Condor was awesome. He's in a movie called Best Man that I watched, and it's so weird watching him play kind of a sleazy politician because like, that's Uncle Ben. No, there's no way he can be a piece of shit. And I love that about him, that there's this untapped area of his career that I can't wait to get to as I watch more movies.
Well, he's also, he's the most important character in Peter's journey to becoming Spider-Man.
Yeah, the quote. I mean, the quote. The quote. The movie begins like Spider-Man, Human Spider, when he goes wrestling. It begins with that quote, and the movie ends with that quote. It's so vital. Uncle Ben is in his heart the whole time.
With great power comes great responsibility, and I wonder why they never brought that back in the other films. Like, it's not like it's trademarked; it's owned by this company. Like, I don't know. Yeah, the Garfield films never did. They tried to dance around it. And then Tom Holland, we've never met Uncle Ben in his films. I mean, it's implied that he's dead, but we've never actually met him.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure eventually. Maybe, maybe Martin Sheen will fall through a portal and end up in this universe and be like,
why?
Here's...
Yeah, Martin Sheen's great. Why are they so old in the Sam Raimi trilogy?
Well, in the comics, they are about that old.
They are?
Yeah.
It's always been bizarre to me. Like, Marissa Tomei, that makes sense. Yeah. This woman's like 45, 50, and Tom Holland's 18. That Peter Parker and the Raimi ones, they look like they're 80, and that's 60 years older than what Peter Parker's supposed to be. It's like, how old were his parents? It's just an interesting.
Well, maybe Uncle Ben and Aunt May is more of a title. Maybe they're like his great uncle, great aunt.
That's very possible. Yeah.
I don't know.
Either way, they're great.
Yeah. Oscar nominee Rosemary Harris plays Mae Parker, Peter's kind-hearted aunt. She was nominated for her performance in 1994's Tom and Viv. She was also in Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, Being Julia, The Boys from Brazil, and 1996's Hamlet. And yeah, her talks with Peter are always so warm, She feels like everyone's grandma. She just dishes out really good advice whenever he needs it. Whenever he's feeling down, she's like, be the hero you want to be, not the one you're supposed to be. And like, there's a hero in all of us. And it's good. And I think she knows the entire time that he's Spider-Man. Like,
I do too. The way she talks, especially in that second one, the way she talks, I really, really like that dialogue between them two. One of my favorite moments of all Spider-Man movies, one of the darkest moments is when she's doing the Lord's Prayer.
Oh.
And Green Goblin comes in and is like, finish it! Deliver us from evil! And then she's in the hospital and she's those horrible yellow eyes. And that's, Green Goblin just would stay ingrained in your brain, right? Yeah. If you ever saw him in action, so. That scene's really cool. I think Sam Raimi's like, I like horror. Yeah. During those scenes, and I think there's some in Spider-Man 2 where he's very much like, I like horror, when Doc Ock is in the hospital and destroys all those people. That one girl scrapes the floor and it's like the chalkboard.
The one doctor who grabs the chainsaw and it's like, there's pure horror.
Yeah, I love that Sam Raimi can't get away from that because he's such a fan, right?
Beautiful, yeah.
There's so much happening in these movies inside of a 2-hour frame that it just shows his passion, it shows his credibility as a director, and he's the guy I would want behind him always,
Oh, yeah. One last guy to talk about, Oscar winner J.K. Simmons plays newspaper editor J. Jonah Jameson. Simmons won his Oscar for his performance in 2014's Whiplash, one of the most deserved performance Oscars of all time, and is a super prolific character actor. Some of his notable performances in the past 20 years include Juno, The Lady Killers, Patriots Day, Up in the Air, and the TV series Oz and Invincible. And he is just, God, what more could be said? J.K. Simmons is the fucking man.
Yeah.
And his tenure as J. Jonah Jameson is fantastic. The quick wit of this guy, the hilarious dialogue, the way he treats his employees, his incredibly cheap demeanor,
his hair,
his
mustache,
the cigar, the suspenders. Like, it's perfect.
There's no. You've said this many times before, but if you look at it on paper and look in the comics, there's no one that looks the same. It's so hard to cast somebody who you can cast someone who captures what you're trying to capture, but the looks and that he looks exactly like he looks in the. It's insane. It's uncanny. He's the best. Willem Dafoe is my favorite. Like, Green Goblin's my favorite character, and then Doc Ock out of all these movies. But Jameson is the most well put together, most well written, and well acted of all of them. That guy's an American treasure at this point.
If we can get a picture of Julia Roberts in a thong, we can get a picture of this weirdo. The lines. I never said you had a job. Meat. Seen a big box of Christmas meat. Now get out of here. It's just crazy shit this guy says.
Yeah. It never stops. The Daily Bugle playing such a massive role in the movies, it wouldn't work without him. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't. You wouldn't want that much newspaper. You wouldn't want that many newspaper scenes in your movie unless it's him.
Yeah.
You'd be like, why the fuck are we still at the Daily Bugle over and over? Why are we going here for these vital scenes? It's because it's J.K. Simmons. And the classic, I love when Green Goblin shows up. And let mommy and daddy talk. I love that. And Jameson's like, "Fuck you."
I love in that scene you see Jameson's true colors when Goblin's like, "Who's the photographer?" And he's like, "I don't know." Like, he won't give Peter up.
Yeah,
and that's cool. That's nice. Deep down, he is a good person. He just really fucking hates Spider-Man for some reason.
He mails him in. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So Spider-Man has an IMDb score of 7.3, Rotten Tomatoes score of 90%. It grossed $821 million on a budget of $139 million and pretty much changed the perception of superhero movies going forward. It was nominated for 2 Oscars, Best Sound and Best Visual Effects. It spawned 2 sequels, was rebooted twice, remains one of the most acclaimed superhero films of all time.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a straight up 9 out of 10 for me. I don't know what would make it a masterpiece. Probably those like little things I talked about, I mean, first off, the actors look like they're like 30 years old and they're playing high schoolers. Those little things always bother me, but it's not enough to make it less than almost a masterpiece to me.
That bit when, like, at the beginning, might as well go into it, the field trip to the spider laboratory, when the teacher, like, pulls 35-year-old James Franco aside to talk about how we listen, always makes me laugh.
Yeah.
It's like,
they're
no.
the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You couldn't have cast somebody older as the teacher just for contrast.
And the field trip scene, that whole bit's great. And the lady's doing her presentation, and she's like 15 spiders, and Kirsten Dunst is like, "There's 14." You're like, how the fuck would this museum let one of those fuckers go? One of those spiders.
When the cavalier attitude of like, oh, the scientists are probably working on it. Like, they don't know.
She didn't even check. She's like, oh, they must be doing some research. You don't know about that? I thought you were one of the researchers.
These spiders that can rewrite a person's genetic code, nobody seems to care.
Yeah. And then when it bites Peter, it just jumps to the ground and doesn't bite anybody else.
My favorite thing is that he doesn't report this. Like,
I know.
He gets bit by a genetically enhanced spider. There's a bubble on his hand the size of a fucking gumball. He goes home. He feels fluish. He wakes up. He's got a 6-pack, and he can see without glasses. And he doesn't do anything about this.
No. I love the scene when he goes home. We spoke about it earlier. He goes home, and his aunt and uncle are like, "Oh, you want dinner?" And he's like, "No, I'm tired. I'm going to bed." It looks like he's taken so many drugs as he falls to the bed and then falls off the bed and grabs the blanket and starts hearing the things that were said, on the field trip at the museum. I love that scene. It always makes me. It's not supposed to make you laugh, but it always makes me laugh because I'm like, oh my god, Toby is on one. He had a few too many whiskeys that day.
His reaction to like looking through his glasses and not being able to see, and he puts them down and he can see. He's like, "That's weird."
Yeah.
Just puts them aside, like, okay.
And then he's just jacked, right? And he looks in the mirror and he just decides to just touch his muscles, and he's, oh wow, okay, I guess this is what's happening. And then to further that point, he's at home shooting webs in his bedroom, and he grabs a Dr. Pepper. Okay, cool, that was cool. I would do the same thing. I would be shooting at food and soda. And then he's destroying his room, and Aunt May's like, "Oh, is everything okay in there? Are you kidding me? He just broke an entire lamp against the wall. How would you not bust in the door like, what the fuck is happening in here?"
I want to know how everyone who was in school the day he beat the shit out of Flash Thompson didn't see, he throws a web at a tray of food, hurls it at Flash, walks out of there, and is all of a sudden super strong and has quick reflexes. Nobody remembered that when Spider-Man started showing up. They're like,
no.
Remember that time that weird kid Peter did this?
It's very convenient how they, and this is again like what's holding it back from being a true masterpiece. These little things, they do matter.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man 2 has some of those moments when Doc Ock does his experiment and becomes Doc Ock. Peter disappears, and Harry's like, "Where'd you go?" And then Spider-Man shows up 2 seconds later. And never once did Harry think, oh, well, when he left, Spider-Man came. Those little things, they happen. Also in Spider-Man 2, it always bothers the shit out of me when, it's probably my favorite scene in the movie, is when, one of them, I really like that kind of horror-like scene at the hospital. But when they're on the subway, they're on the train.
Oh, yeah.
Epic. How do those little kids get his fucking mask?
That's a very good question. He took that off outside the train.
Yeah, he takes it off outside because he's like, he's trying to see, and he takes it off and basically throws it. It should be somewhere off in New York. And these two little kids are, "We found something," And I'm like, wait, what? Where the fuck did you get that? Those little things that separate movies from being seamless and being, wow, like everything adds up here. Spider-Man does have those moments of, wait, what?
Two quick things about Spider-Man 2. One, I love that the first guy to stand up to Doc Ock on the train is Joey Coco Diaz.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You gotta get through one. If you're gonna get to him, you gotta get through me. Yeah.
Boom. New York.
Fair enough, yeah.
And then the second one, I love the way that he just explains the creation of the arms. Like, in order to balance this fusion experiment, he first had to invent artificial intelligence. And it's just, glossed over like nothing.
Yeah.
Like, maybe the most significant scientific breakthrough of all time. He's like, well, whatever.
Yeah, I gotta make these arms, yeah.
That always makes me laugh.
Yeah, and I love when James Franco's just yelling, "Nobel Prize!" Franco's off his fucking rocker in the second one. Yeah. There's those that ultimately doesn't take away from the film, right? Yeah. But it does make it. These have the makings of a true masterpiece.
Yeah.
Yet they're taken away. The way that Infinity War is a masterpiece. Everything is accounted for. Everything makes sense. Everything is awesome and dark and fucking crazy. That's a 10 out of 10 movie to me. These movies are close to that.
Yeah.
But they don't quite reach it because of those little things in the story.
It's hard to explain the difference between a 9 and a 10, and it really just comes down to like personal little biases and is biases even a word? Biases. There we go.
Biases.
Not I'm thinking of diet.
Fallacies.
Biases. Anyway. Yeah, it's little things. It's like a flick of the switch in the brain. It's hard to kind of explain that.
But you know it.
You know when you see it. Yeah,
you know when you see it. Yeah, for sure.
All right, back to Spider-Man 1.
What's Flash's Joe
Manganiello.
Yeah. Oh my god, that guy's like fucking 40. He's a fucking full-on man going to high school. Like, dude, someone check this guy's ID. I love the scene at the graduation between the breakup is so cheap. He's like,
whatever. Your loss. Yeah. Like, just
I don't even need you. Oh, I love that shit. And that car that he gets for his birthday, fucking lame. And that's when Peter's like, oh, maybe I should get a car. Yeah, no shit. No shit, Pete. And also, it never made sense to me. Let's go ahead and go into that he finds out he has powers after that being bit and whatnot, and he decides to kind of test it out. The scene's great when he's on the roof and he's trying to like go web, all that stuff's great. But when he finally figures it out, he climbs up the wall. He's like, I'm gonna go try to make some money doing this because I want to get a car. And he sees an ad for $3,000 to go fight. He didn't know it was gonna be against fucking Randy Savage, Bonesaw. But the ad does say $3,000, and the guy gives him $100 for 2 minutes makes no sense.
Yeah, I'd want to fuck that guy over too.
Because it to me it would be 1,000 for 1 minute, 2,000 for 2 minutes, 3,000 for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Or something like that. $100 is not even believable as a ripoff. It's so far from the value that's in the ad that I would want to I would steal it if I were Toby.
Well, I'm not surprised that the seedy underground wrestling guy with his newspaper advertisement is not on the up and up.
Yeah. The best part of that, Randy Savage is wonderful as Bonesaw, and I love how the crowd just wants him to just kill everybody. Yeah. But it's Octavia Spencer who steals the show.
Yeah.
And she looks at him like, you're going to get your ass.
She reminds him of like the fine print, like, we're not responsible for anything that may and probably will happen to you.
Yeah, probably and will happen to you. And he's like, yeah. She said, next.
They got me with you. Next.
I love that. And then Bruce Campbell.
Ah, God.
Yeah, fucking hell, man. Of course, him and Raimi. It had to happen. He's in all 3 movies doing different things. I love him as the commentator. He's got those shitty sunglasses. Oh, he's so good.
Do you know what the payoff of those 3 cameos was supposed to be? In Spider-Man, in Raimi's planned Spider-Man 4, it was going to be revealed that was the same guy taking odd jobs, and he was Mysterio.
Oh, wow. That would make sense.
The opening act of 4 was Spider-Man taking down Mysterio, and it was fucking Bruce Campbell.
I hate that we didn't get that.
I know. I've seen the concept art, and it's so good.
Damn. That's disappointing.
Yeah, damn it. I can't wait to see who Campbell plays in Doctor Strange.
Oh, God.
When he opens like a portal, and it's like Ash reading the Necronomicon. He's like, shut the damn door, bozo, or something like that.
Be totally fine with me, yeah.
But I do love that he's the guy who gives Parker Spider-Man. He's like, what's your name, kid? The Human Spider. I'm like, really? That's the best you got?
That
sucks.
That really sucks. I love that. For the sum of $3,000. The Cage!
I love that guy. Oh, my God.
New York.
Like, Bruce Campbell has the best voice to be that kind of guy. The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I love that Peter's like,
human spider.
He wasn't going to go out. He's like, you got my name wrong. And then fucking Macho Man as Bonesaw McGraw. Oh, yeah.
What you doing up there?
Hey, freak show. Is there anybody more fucking strange in this world than Randy Savage?
I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime.
You're going nowhere.
And he should have. Spider-Man should have been knocked out by that chair. He fucking whacked.
Where the hell was the spider sense when Randy Savage got a hold of a folding chair?
I don't know.
He fucks him up.
He really does. He whacks the shit out of him like 3 times in the head. And I was watching with Brianna. And I was like, dead.
Well, apparently, Randy Savage did his own stunts there, and he fucked his body up when Spider-Man hurled him into the metal bars. Like, Randy Savage really got hurled into metal bars.
Jesus.
And it fucked his spine up or something. He never was really right again after that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and rest in peace. He died in 2011, and he was an absolute legend.
Randy Savage certainly was the cream of the crop, and no one will ever take that away.
So cool.
Fuck yeah. So we've gone this long without really acknowledging Danny Elfman's incredible score.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to bring that up. The music he provided for these films is gorgeous. Every villain has their own theme. I love that. It was Christopher Young in the third one because him and Raimi had a bit of a falling out. But even then, it's still built on Elfman's themes. It's great. It's an iconic. It's the Spider-Man music. I can't think Garfield and Holland just do not have that.
No.
Maguire has a theme.
Yeah, very much so. And like you said, the villains do too. And Elfman, one of the best to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the most unique to do it, to be a composer. And
he gave us Batman and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, his filmography is really, really cool. We've talked about him on Oscar Sunday before. He's been brought up amongst some of the better composers of our time. And I remember being a kid and I would just hum that. I'd be at school on the playground at recess and I would just hum the fucking Spider-Man. And that's just what you do. It's the stuff you fall in love with as a kid, and as you get older, you realize how important it was to kind of your initial your initial reaction and love for something.
Yeah.
It's so important. Every time I see his name at the beginning, I get goosebumps. I can't believe we didn't bring it up yet.
There's certain movies I think about, like if I hadn't seen it when I saw it, I wouldn't be the same person I am today.
100%. And that just shows you how fucking important movies are, how important they are in TV and music. You know, those things, they're when they hit you and wherever your mind is at, it's just so important, especially for, you know, people like you and I we eat this shit up and we love it. We have loved it for so long. It's huge. It's huge. Even now, as we're in Los Angeles, we walked past a park bench with the Spider-Man, ad on it, and we're both like, haha, yeah, that's huge. That wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for this movie, and that gives you goosebumps,
Oh, totally. So while this is all going on with Peter, Norman is having some financial problems. Oscorp is going to lose their funding if they don't get these performance enhancers back on track. And I love that Dr. Strom, the second in command of the medical or the research team, straight up tells the general, we got to go back to the beginning. We got to go back to formula.
Yeah.
And Osborn's like, what the fuck? Why would you say that?
Back to formula.
Yeah. And with, desperate because they threaten to pull his funding if they don't get this up. Norman tests these performance enhancers on himself, as does, the mad scientist cliche, a supervillain is born.
Yeah.
And what these things do is they make him, super strong, but also fuck with his personality and give him dissociative identity disorder and create the Goblin. Yes. Which is fantastic. And he fucks up Strom immediately.
And says it back to him. I love that. Back to formula. Yeah. and then he jumps up and like Willem Dafoe would. He looks like a gargoyle and is like, ah! It's so cool.
It's perfect. It's so epic.
My favorite part of that scene, as I've gotten older and just watched this movie so many goddamn times, is you can see that he's getting a piece of that Goblin before he even goes into that tank. Because he drinks the vial and fucking slams on the ground and the glass breaks and you're like, he wants this. he wants to be fucked up, He doesn't know what to do. He's so lost. He created this company. They're turning on him. These guys don't believe in him. That general straight up tells him, I never supported you in the first place. You're fucking crazy. I love that. I love that Norman is betting on himself and he's like, I don't give a shit. Even if it has repercussions, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do this for science. And Doc Ock's the same way, right? Yep. It's the same way of the power of the sun in my hands, I love that about these villains.
Yeah. I love that there's that, and then this Sandman fell in the wrong science experiment at the wrong time.
Yeah, and he's just a hulking monster already, right? Yeah, and has a criminal past. Yeah, that's awesome.
I was watching Spider-Man 3 with my family a couple weeks ago, and my mom walked in, and she saw Sandman in the green shirt, and she called him Steve from Blue's Clues, evil dad or something like that.
Yeah, he's a jacked Steve. Yeah,
that was great. So yeah, Norman's the Goblin now. It's kind of cool that the Green Goblin and Spider-Man were created on the same night.
Yeah.
And if Spider-Man hadn't become Spider-Man, Goblin would have fucked that city up.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Well, he definitely does. He does. He gets his. And had it not been for the glider being jacked up at the parade, he would have fucked everybody up.
Yeah.
He was fucking Spider-Man up. That's one of my favorite things of Goblin. He gets the better of Spider-Man a lot.
I love when they first meet and Spider-Man throws a punch and Goblin catches it and he's like, impressive, and kicks him across the park.
Impressive, yeah. When the cops show up and he's like, I surrender. He just fucks them all up. Yeah. The cops in the Spider-Man movies don't ever shoot. They never pull the trigger. They have this octopus motherfucker with 8 arms and hands up, really? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
NYPD suck in these movies. Yeah.
The only one they do shoot at is fucking Sandman.
Yeah.
Who
and it is sand. Yeah. How convenient.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's awesome. So, wrestling, Peter fucks up Bonesaw and wins $100. And he's like, dude, what the hell? The guy's like, get out of here. I love that.
I forgot the part that was my problem.
Yeah. And then the dude just that guy shows up, steals the money, And Peter just lets him go. And the guy's like, why'd you do that? And he's like, well, I missed the part where that's my problem. What goes around comes around, asshole.
Yeah.
But, ultimately, this guy, as we're led to believe for 2 films, and they change it in part 3. I never really liked that. He kills Uncle Ben, steals his car.
Yeah, they do fuck with that in the 3rd one. And
Yeah.
that always left kind of a weird taste in my mouth, that Sandman was a part of that.
Yeah.
That was always weird to me, because I really liked that storyline of... Because at first you're like, wait, this is New York, this place is huge. You're like, oh yeah, Uncle Ben was supposed to pick him back up at 10 p.m. Right outside the exact same place. And it makes sense.
Wait a minute. I think I found a plot hole.
Let's hear it.
Uncle Ben thought Peter was going to the library.
Yeah. But initially when he drops him off, I've always thought about this. Because I'm like, does that make sense, like, geographically? So when he drops him off, and Peter, like, walks to the library for a second and then turns around, how far do you think that place is from the library? That's really what we need to know. Because if it's right across the street, that makes sense. Because then Peter would just walk out of the wrestling place, go over to the library.
I doubt that this, like, seedy wrestling place is across the street from the New York Public Library.
And who the fuck is... What time is it when he drops him off and he's, I'll pick you up at 10 p.m. at the library? A little weird.
Yeah. We're not supposed to think about that stuff. Logistics. It's fine. But now Peter, and the moment when Ben dies is so sad. You can tell there's so much that he wanted to say.
Yeah. Fuck.
Oh boy.
The way he just barely gets out. Peter. It's like, oh geez, that's just devastating.
And then Maguire, he cries a lot in these movies, but he's got a lot to cry about.
He does. His life sucks.
Yeah. So he puts on the human spider costume and goes and fucks up this burglar, and
kills him.
Well,
sort of,
kind of,
almost.
Yeah. He certainly breaks his arm.
Yeah. It ends him for the night. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the guy stumbles out of the window. He's dead. But I love that realization of, like, I did this. Like, when he sees him in the light, he's like, I could have stopped this guy. And that whole thing completely changes who Peter Parker is and pretty much gives him the philosophy of Spider-Man, which is great.
I love that initial costume. He's wearing, like, Nikes and just has, like, a red bandit fucking little mask on. I like that initial suit. I used to have action figures of the different versions of, like, Peter the photographer, and I had that one, and I had, like, the full-on Spider-Man. I played with those like a fucking fiend when I was a kid.
I did too.
And I loved that one.
Yeah.
I loved that like middle Spider-Man. Yeah.
I had the regular Spider-Man suit. I had a remote control Green Goblin toy that, like, flew around.
Oh Christ.
That was cool. I had a Venom and a Sandman from part 3. I had a shit ton of X-Men toys. But that was it for Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah, I just had those. I had like a smaller, like, those were like pretty big size action figures. I had a smaller Doc Ock that just kind of hung around on my shelf. I had it up until not that long ago, and I kind of lost it while I was moving because I just had it up on my shelf. I thought it looked badass. I fucking love Alfred Molina. Yeah. So that sucks that I don't have that anymore. I want a Ray Had Jackson action figure from Boogie Nights. With the... You guys want to play baseball?
You're going to have to make that.
Yeah. I don't know. I bet it's somewhere. It might be at fucking Amoeba, that place we went to today in L.A. God damn.
That's fantastic. Oh, boy. It always bugged me how Peter made that, and then somehow he made this, like, super well-designed costume.
Yeah. Incredible costume. And this is when we were watching the first Tom Holland Spider-Man, I told you, I was like, all that shit was made for him by Tony Stark. Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, fucking, how did he make this amazing suit that seems to be able to cut through fucking, when Green Goblin throws his shit at him during the fire, he blocks some of them, and only one of them gets through the suit.
Yeah.
What is this made out of?
Well, I think in that instance, I think he was hitting it on the middle part that wasn't a blade. I think that's what he was smacking.
And then he got cut.
That's what I think happened.
Love that scene.
But, like, how does he shoot the webs through that suit? Like, this thing, I don't know. I don't know what it's made of, but well done. If Spider-Man didn't work out, he could have really made a killing in fashion.
Yeah, in design. Yeah. Yeah, that suit is gorgeous. I like in the second one when he's like, rides up in the crotch a little bit. He's in the when he's in the elevator.
Yeah.
Kind of itchy.
Cool Spidey outfit.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's unnecessary, but fun.
You ever seen the extended director's cut, Spider-Man 2.1?
No.
There's an extra bit in there where the guy's like an advertising executive and he tries to pitch ideas to Spider-Man. He's like, you would do like a men's cologne called Thwip. And Peter's just like, he keeps clicking the door, like trying to get out of there. There's just a bit where Jameson is wearing the Spider-Man costume and he's like, shoo, shoo, trying to pretending to be Spider-Man.
I've seen that like on YouTube or some shit. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah.
So with this new, I hate when he has to go home and tell Aunt May, even though it's like muted. I hate that bit where she finds out he's dead and just starts crying into Peter's shoulder.
And Peter at age 17 or 18 has to deal with all this. Yeah. Oh.
And then he doesn't tell her what really happened until part 2, and that's a tough scene.
Which she says out loud. I love part of that screenplay when she says flat out that it's been 2 years. Can you believe it's been 2 years next month when Uncle Ben, died? And so we know that he's held on to this for 2 full years. That's a long time.
Well, I think a great bit where you realize just under how much pressure he is in part 2 is when he forgets his own birthday. And he's like, "What's the occasion?" They're like, "It's your birthday, man." Like, that's to be that stressed. Like, I can't imagine.
Toby, selfless.
Yeah. Well, Peter, selfless.
Not Toby Maguire. Yeah.
I found out that he got fired from Spider-Man 2 for faking a back injury to try to get more money out of Columbia, and they had Jake Gyllenhaal lined up to replace him. And Toby eventually relented and apologized and begged for his job back.
Christ.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal would have made a fucking wonderful Spider-Man.
Yeah, he would have.
Christ. But then he wouldn't have been playing Mysterio years later. So
yeah.
And he was great.
He was. What a piece of shit Mysterio was.
And he probably, who knows, he might not have done Brokeback Mountain,
That's true.
Came out a year after Spider-Man 2, so who knows, right?
Yeah.
I might not done Zodiac in 2007.
That ripple effect.
Fuck that, yeah. Fuck that, never mind.
Oh, boy. So Norman finds out that his company is forcing him out after he fucks up Quest Aerospace. It kills that general. Love that.
Oh, that scene's great.
Yeah, you just hear
what the hell is that?
You hear the cackling.
Yeah.
And, oh, boy.
Yeah, that general was a dirtbag, so.
Well, I love that
he had to go. His
efforts to destroy them only, bolstered their confidence, and now they're buying Oscorp.
Yeah. And then of course at the parade, he's like, "I'm gonna kill all of you now." Yeah. And he just turns him to ash.
How come he never used that bomb again? That was.
He only had a few of those in the closet. Yeah.
Where did all these fucking bombs come from?
I don't know.
We see where the glider and the suit came from, and it's implied that Norman collects masks, so that's where the Goblin mask came from. But he just have an endless supply of pumpkin-looking bombs. I don't know.
I guess when the alter ego took over, maybe he made all these. I don't know.
Maybe he tinkered for a while.
Yeah.
But I love that. It's weird that this company hates him so much. Why do they all hate Norman so much?
Yeah, that's a movie I would love to see, a prequel to. I mean, it couldn't happen now. Willem Dafoe's probably too old unless he used a different actor. A prequel about him losing his kind of respect within Oscorp, because that's such an interesting storyline of why is the board so fed up with him? Because they're obviously the ones who fund everything and back everything and give him money to do stuff, but he's the scientist, and I would love to see that, because of course at some point there was a respect there, and there was a willingness and a desire to see out what he was doing. And eventually they were like, "This guy's nuts."
Yeah.
I would love to see that downfall, Yeah,
for
so
sure.
Fascinating.
Well, they tell him straight up, "You're out."
Yeah.
He's like,
"You're out, Norman."
Am I?
Yeah. Out, am I?
So great. I love to think that they all realized, oh, God, that's Norman, right before they blew up.
They died, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I love Harry's like, "Where's my father?" And he's not going to make it today.
Well, you get to see just how afraid and of his dad and how much he wants to please his dad by him telling MJ, like, I thought you were going to wear the black dress.
Oh.
My dad loves black. And she's like, well, he'll probably just love me either way. And you tell in his eyes, he's like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. No.
And then to not tell Peter that he's dating his dream girl, what a dick move.
Yeah, Harry is pretty slimy in the first movie, right?
Yeah.
The way he moves around Peter, yeah, not right.
It's fucked.
Peter finds out after running into MJ at that diner that she's working at.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay. What does he say when she walks away? He's like, maybe we get some lunch at dinner sometime. Or he like mixes up lunch and dinner in the same sentence.
Yeah, like, let's get some lunch some evening. That's what he says.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, maybe I'll get some of that famous coffee. Yeah. God. Come on, Pete.
I love how dated the parade scene is by just having Eyzaguirre be the headliner.
Yeah. Perfect. Really cool, though. I that's one thing I love about these movies is they feel, as, fantastic they are and as, comic booky they are, they feel real. They feel realistic. They're really using New York. The Daily Bugle feels like a real newspaper. The Eyzaguirre thing is a real thing that happens used to happen in New York every single year.
The Unity Festival? That was a thing?
She did the New Year's.
Oh.
Like every year she would sing at it.
Okay.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. It's a touch that feels really authentic and really, Sam Raimi's not trying to be totally up in the clouds, right? He's like, let's keep it on the ground and make this as realistic as possible. The Green Goblin character could exist, right? It could be someone who flies around in a glider and has this suit. Yeah. It could happen.
Steroids are real.
Steroids are real. Little bombs are real.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe's laugh is real. Yeah. There's things in it that really could happen, and I love that about it.
The scene in the mansion where Norman realizes that he's the Goblin is one of my favorite bits of the movie, where he just, he hears the cackle. He's like, who's there? He's like, follow the cold shiver running down your spine. Like, he's fucking with him the whole time. And then just walking into the mirror is so great. Like, what a great actor.
Yeah, I love that. And I love when Harry sees it.
Yeah. In part 2.
Yeah.
Avenge me!
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
God.
His heart. We attack his heart.
Oh, boy.
I would love to see Willem just practicing these lines, He's like in the hotel. He's, avenge me. I would love that.
Beautiful. Yeah, I want to see so much behind the scenes footage on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where can we go next?
So we're going around that when he kills the general, goes to the parade. I guess after that is when it's very clear to Peter that Harry's kind of doesn't seem totally on his side, right? And then
I think that
it's clear that the Green Goblin says, "I'll be seeing you again, Spider-Man." I have my enemy now.
Yeah. Well, I think Harry, on some level, thinks Peter's trying to steal his dad, so he took something that meant something to Peter and MJ. I think that's what it was.
Probably.
It's not a very strong friendship. There's a lot of backstabbing and behind the back bullshit there.
I wish Pete had a couple other friends, not that show up all the time in the movie, that you could just go get lunch with.
Well, that's Flash in the comics.
Yeah.
We never got that.
I wish he had that. And I don't know, he's just so goddamn alone.
Yeah.
It's really sad. I wish he had a friend who could... I need to go get a burger, man, and just...
He needs a Ned.
Yes, yeah.
He thinks it's Harry, but Harry's not his friend.
No.
Ugh. Makes that fight they have in part 3, actually quite satisfying.
Yeah, and it makes the maturity of Peter saying in part 2, there are bigger things than you and me right now. I love that. And he's like, Harry, you little boy. you need to see the bigger picture. Half of New York's going to get wiped off the face of the earth if you don't fucking grow up. I love that scene.
Oh, boy. Okay. So let's go to the Bugle, where Peter tries to sell some pictures.
Oh, God, yeah.
They're crap.
Double
Crap. Mega crap.
I'll give you 150 for all 3. He's like, what?
I love in the
They're
second.
amazing pictures. Yeah, right up in his face. Yeah.
I love in the second one where he's like, I want 300. That's outrageous. Done. Immediately. God, I could talk about that guy all day.
And it's Robbie and Betty. They're both amazing.
Yeah.
As these kind of
Bill Nunn and Elizabeth Banks.
They hold down the Daily Bugle. Without them.
And then you got Ted Raimi as like Jameson's little bitch, who's like constantly trying to give him good ideas.
How about Doc Ock? No, stupid. I've got it, Doc Ock. I love that scene so much. Yeah, it's genius.
How about Green Meanie? He just tells him to leave. Like, get out of here. Oh boy, yeah, fantastic. So Goblin's now after Spider-Man. So he goes after Jameson to be like, who's the photographer who takes Spider-Man's picture? And he's like, I don't know. Spider-Man shows up and Jameson's like, I knew you were in it together. Immediately. Just like, I knew it. I love when he gets his mouth webbed. Like, that was satisfying for Peter.
I wonder what that feels like. And how do you get out of it? Who helps you get out of that?
The webbing is supposed to dissolve after a while, but
yeah, that's how it always happened in the video games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Otherwise, there'd be webs all over New York City.
Yeah, it would look like a fucking spider's nest. The entire city. How long he's been active? Yeah. There's a bit in The Amazing Spider-Man where he webs up a criminal and like webs up his nose and mouth, and he can't fucking breathe, and he like punches a hole in the mouth for him, and it's really fucked up. Anyway,
Christ, yeah.
Goblin takes Spider-Man like over to this building to give him the old, we should team up talk, and Spider-Man's like, no, you're a bad guy. He's like, well, that's relative, isn't it? Like, just, it's great.
Yeah, and he uses the sleep thing. That's my favorite line is the sleep. I love that. I love that part so much. And yeah, he could kill him right there, and probably should have.
Well, I love when he gives him the message of like, eventually they will hate you, no matter how much you've done for them. Like, this city will turn on you.
Yeah, and he was right.
Yeah, he was right.
I love that in superhero movies. I love that in movies, period. They love you, they hate you, they love you, they hate you. People will never make up their mind. They love to see your hero fail. Yeah.
Yep.
I love that. And that's like the same in real life. Like, we love, as a society, if, whenever someone like Tiger Woods went through his whole debacle of it came out that he was cheating, people were like all over that. And they loved talking about it. Even though 2 weeks before they were like, oh, he's the best golfer of all time. They love when someone fucks up. Yeah. People love when someone messes up, and we can pick them apart like vultures. It's disgusting. And Goblin's got some real truth there, and he knows it because he's been through it.
Yep. He used to be, cool. He was the science golden boy. He was the head of Oscorp, like the premier company in charge of like scientific advancement, and now he's a joke.
Yeah, look at the house he lives in. Holy shit. Biggest house in New York City.
He's got a mansion on a skyscraper in the middle of Manhattan.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Unreal. And Harry's like he has any real problems. Ridiculous.
And Peter lives in this tiny house, with his aunt and uncle in one of the poorer parts of New York. Yeah.
In the second one, he's got this shitty apartment run by rent.
Yeah, run by the Russians.
Ditkovich. Yeah. I love that guy. Oh boy. Let's see.
So after Green Goblin then sees him again, he's like, "What? You never got to me about our talk."
The fire. Yeah. Where he saves the baby. I love the cops are like, we're gonna arrest you, and he's like, he starts to screaming, and he's like, go save them.
Yeah.
Like, I love that the cops are on his side.
I'll be here when you're out.
Yeah. Not coming back, Chief.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
And it's the Goblin. I love the way they reveal it with like the shape of the head. Right there, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. Well, because you have your questions because the cry is so bizarre and so scary, and then you see the kind of blanket over his pointed head. You're like, oh shit. And how Spider-Man couldn't tell that, I don't know, but we could, as the audience, we knew what was happening. And that scene is so cool in the fire. I love it.
No one says no to me.
Yeah.
Like, oh god, he's intimidating. Goblin is fucking scary in this movie. I think that's right after that is Thanksgiving.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly, because that's when they meet, and that's when he kind of finds out.
Yeah.
The blood, that touch is so cool, and the blood comes from the ceiling because Spider-Man's hanging up on the ceiling, and when he got struck by that little bomb thing, that blade thing, and that's when Willem Dafoe sees the blood on the ground, and it's like, yeah, those eyes. Oh, those eyes. Oh, my God.
I love just Norman getting up to like the elevator. You can see in his eyes like the Goblin is taking over. Like Norman Osborn is losing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I love when he walks in. He's like, "Sorry, I'm late. Work was murder."
Yeah.
God.
He's just a total fucking dick to Mary Jane.
Yeah, do what you need to with her, then broom her fast. Oh my God. And Harry's like, doesn't say anything, and she's pissed that he didn't stick up for her, as she should be.
And he's like, I'd be lucky to become half the man my father is.
And he does.
Yep. Sure enough.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's a rough one. Thanksgiving.
Yeah, not the best holiday. Not the best holiday. I feel bad for Mae. She's just like, all these men are fucking disgusting. And what does Peter say? He's something about old woman with a cane.
I had to beat an old woman with a stick to get these cranberries.
Yeah, he just has this little can of cranberries. Yeah.
And then his excuse for the big cut is that like he got clipped by a bike messenger, and Norman's like, "How'd you say that happened again?"
Yeah.
It's like bike messenger knocked me down.
Yeah.
It's like so great. And that's when Norman and the Goblin have a talk of like, Norman's like, "I can't do this. I don't want to do this." And the Goblin's like, "You're going to do it, Osborn."
Yeah.
It's so great.
Excellent. I love that so much. I do wonder about when his Dr. Strom dies.
Yeah.
How do they not like take him into like questioning?
There was no follow-up on that.
They don't have cameras in that place to see that he fucking choked him and threw him against glass? A little weird.
Well, he probably disabled the cameras because what he was doing was super illegal.
That's true. He
Yeah.
probably did. He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
And the Goblin probably did everything he had to do to cover everything up, right? And then he's just laying on the ground. He looks like he's drunk as shit when Harry finds him. He's just laying him on the ground. I always wondered. I was like, how did the police not take him in for questioning about the murder?
Well, anyone who was going to investigate Norman Osborn was killed when he bombed the board, at the parade.
That's true.
He wiped out all his competition. Took over the company. So now that Goblin knows who Spider-Man is, he attacks his heart, goes after Aunt May, freaks her out with her prayers.
Oh, so good.
And then kidnaps MJ after MJ and Peter have a nice moment. Oh, we left out all the moments with Spider-Man and MJ.
Yeah, they do have some lovely moments, right? And that's the main one being at the hospital when he thinks May is asleep, but she's really listening, and they have that wonderful moment. And then of course he saves her multiple times. I mean, he saves her from the parade, and he saves her when she's in the street, and that's when they have the kiss, the famous Spider-Man kiss where he's upside down. Mm-hmm. All that stuff is lovely. It's revolutionary or anything, but it's big for their storyline. Yeah. And ultimately, the 3 Spider-Man movies are a love story. Ultimately, that's what they're kind of embedded in, right? Is them two.
Well, it's a sweet moment, and then Harry walks in on them holding hands and is like, "I better go."
you fuck. Yeah.
And tells Norman, like, "You were right. She loves Peter." And Norman's like, "I've been a great father to you, but I want to be better." And they have a moment.
They do.
Yeah.
Harry and Norman, it's almost like Peter, if Peter didn't exist in their life, their relationship would be so much better, right? Because Norman's just like, my son's a loser. And Peter's so fucking smart that it causes this strain. And I really do think that there's something between them that's kind of cool. They have a cool bond every now and again, but for the most part, he's just kind of a dick to his son. And that sucks. So those moments are sweet.
Yeah, I wonder if that was the last bit of Norman left. Like, that was it, and then the Goblin just took over.
Yeah, game over.
Yeah.
The Goblin's like, fuck you!
Because going forward, there is no more Norman Osborn.
Avenge me!
Yeah. So he kidnaps MJ, goes to the bridge, and, like, takes a trolley car full of kids and MJ, and is like, "Gotta make a choice, hero," and drops them both. I wonder what those kids were thinking when Peter immediately beelined for MJ. I mean, yeah, he saved everybody, but they didn't know that.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, so he saves everybody, and then Goblin starts fucking him up, and I love when New York rallies together and is like, "Hey, you mess with a bunch of kids?"
Yeah. Who does that?
Hey!
You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
New York, hey!
It's like, you guys are one of the most divided cities in the entire fucking world. But you guys stick together over Spider-Man. Okay.
Well, they included that scene because this came out right after 9/11. So they wanted to do kind of a
unity.
Yeah, I get it. And it's a good moment where Goblin takes a pipe to the head at one point. That's great.
Yeah.
And that's when you get the final fight between Spider-Man and the Green Goblin, where Goblin just fucks him up.
Epic. I love that. That's one of my favorite. Admittedly, the Spider-Man Doc Ock final fight is just kind of underwhelming.
Yeah.
This fight is fucking badass. Yeah. Goblin kicks the shit out of him. I mean, he grabs him, he flies him from the water, and just flings him into a wall, and just starts fucking him up, kneeing him in the face. Like, he should have been dead. He really should. Spider-Man should have been dead. I don't know what was protecting him. His mask is off. He's bleeding all over the place.
I love when Goblin pulls out that like trident and it says like I'm gonna kill MJ slowly.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope. And like
me and MJ, we're gonna have a hell of a time.
I like to think that it's Peter who beat the Green Goblin. Like right there, it's like, no.
Yeah. Because he knows, they both know that they both know, right? Well, Peter knows that Goblin knows it's him. It's Peter.
Yeah, he
doesn't know it's Norman yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, until he takes off the mask and he's like, "Be like a son to me." Yeah.
You killed those people. The Goblin killed them. I didn't do it.
The production, all of that, the design of all that is really cool, and I would love to have been there for that because you have really cool stuff where when the wall falls onto Norman, he's like, ah!
I know when the hand comes through the bricks, that's like fucking, that's Evil Dead. That's the Evil Dead poster. Yeah.
So cool. And he's like, get me out of here. And Spider-Man just fucks him up. Like, they just take turns destroying each other. And I love the scene, the Spidey sense tingling when the glider, and he fucking does the Matrix shit over it.
Norman's just like, oh.
Yeah, I love that. I also love when Norman is, well, it's at this point, it's Green Goblin acting like Norman.
Yeah.
And it's Green Goblin going like, oh, I was like a father to you, be like a son to me. And then he says, Godspeed, Spider.
Beautiful.
I love that. The Godspeed line is so good. And then the glider comes right at him and hits him like in the worst area possible.
Yeah, in the dick.
Yeah, like right in the like all of the private parts just get annihilated right there, and he bleeds to death.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But then in the last second, Norman takes over and tells him, "Don't tell Harry." Like those are his last words.
Yeah.
Goblin wouldn't give a shit.
No.
Norman's like, "Don't let my son know what I was."
Yeah.
Like that's wonderful.
He finds out eventually.
Yeah.
But he doesn't need to know now. Yeah. Let him process it. And then of course that's when we get the great ending of, and Spider-Man, why he didn't put something over his face is beyond me, when he takes Norman back to the Osborn house and he lays him down. So he like undressed him, got him all comfortable, so, the dead body of Norman, and laid him down on that couch. And that's when Harry grabs the gun and he's gone before he can even shoot. And then we have the funeral scene, which is fantastic. The funeral scene is great. I love that. I love from Harry's telling him, I swear in my father's grave, I'm going to make Spider-Man pay, to Peter going over to Ben's tombstone and then MJ admitting to him, I love you. And he's like, I don't have time for that. I'm fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I can't put that on you.
Well, I love her realization in the kiss where she has a moment of like, wait a minute.
Oh, shit. That's him, isn't it? Yeah. He's Spider-Man. He's the one who's been saving me all this time. Yeah.
I love that this is one of the few funerals in movies I've seen that's not in the fucking rain. And
yeah.
It's
a nice like fall day where like the leaves are all over the place. Yeah.
And also, I love when Harry tells Peter, "Thank God for you," just like Norman said. It's like that's a hint that we're gonna see the Goblin again.
Yeah. God, so good. Just sticks the landing, this movie.
Oh God.
And you have the narration from Tobey Maguire at the end, and he's like, "With great power comes great responsibility." That shit's great.
Then you get a little montage of Spider-Man flying through the city.
Oh, yeah.
And then we get Chad Kroger's Hero.
Yes.
Fuck
dude.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's the Nickelback guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that damn song.
I hate Nickelback, but that song is pretty cool. Chad's a fucking douche, but that song works. He's a hero's a hero.
Oh my God.
Yeah, great movie.
Yeah.
God damn.
That song keeps this film firmly in 2002. but
yes,
whatever.
And then Spider-Man 2, there's some soundtrack moments where you're like, it's 2004.
Oh boy. So here's some Filmgazm facts for Spider-Man. Number one, this was the first film ever to gross $100 million in its opening weekend alone. Even adjusted for inflation, that had never happened before. Beautiful.
Insane.
Number two, Hugh Jackman revealed he was supposed to have a cameo as Wolverine. He showed up in New York to film the scene. The entire plan was scrapped when the crew could not get access to the Wolverine costume from X-Men because Fox were a bunch of assholes. Ugh. We don't get nice things.
I can't handle that. Thinking about that almost gives me anxiety. You know? And knowing that we didn't get it.
Yeah, what a bummer. But now, it's all one big happy again. So now we will get that at some point, I'm sure. Number three, this was weird. When at one point on set, James Franco joked about Tobey Maguire's, quote, frog-like features. Maguire was super pissed about this. This created friction between the two actors, which led to an existing rivalry that continues to this day. Like, how petty can you be? Your co-star says you kind of look like a frog, and you carry that for 20 years? I mean, Jesus Christ.
I believe it, though.
Yeah.
That is a fact. I believe it. I believe that it would be said, and I believe that it would cause that tension between these two fucking these pricks.
And finally, number four, this is the bit about the James Cameron version. In 1993, Cameron was hired to rewrite an existing draft for Spider-Man for Carolco Pictures. The script was going to feature Liz Allen as Peter Parker's love interest instead of MJ. We met Liz in Spider-Man Homecoming. And the villain was going to be Doc Ock. Unlike the comics, Dr. Otto Octavius was a professor who would be a mentor to college senior Peter Parker. And Otto called himself Professor Octopus. Why bother changing that? After his 4 mechanical arms became fused to his body. During an accident, Octavius turns into Professor Ock when he is bitten in the back of the neck by the same radioactive spider that turned Peter into Spider-Man. And for some reason, this doesn't give Doc Ock spider powers. It welds the arms to his body and makes him crazy. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
To make the film more kid-friendly, Carolco Pictures had Doc Ock constantly use the phrase okie dokie. And Ock had an assistant named Wiener that later kills Uncle Ben.
Wiener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was Cameron's first choice for Doc Ock, and Edward Furlong was being considered for Peter Parker. I'm so glad this movie didn't happen.
It would have been we probably wouldn't have Spider-Man movies today.
This would have done to Spider-Man what Batman and Robin did to Batman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not worth it. Good God.
No, not at all.
I hate when a filmmaker decides to tweak little things like turning Doc Ock into Professor Ock. Like, why would you do that?
And having him say, and Arnold Schwarzenegger? Like, oh, dude. No. I love Arnie, but no.
Yeah. Like, we needed him to make freeze puns in 97. We don't need him to be an octopus.
Okie dokie. I love that, though. Alfred Molina could pull it off. Okie dokie.
Jesus. So, the first sequel was 2004 Spider-Man 2, which saw Peter struggle to balance his private life with his superhero life while also battling the psychotic Dr. Octopus played by Alfred Molina. Just as good as the first one. It's an epic. A lot of people consider this to be one of the greatest superhero films of all time. Molina kills it as Doc Ock. It has that same kind of dual personality thing that Defoe has as a Green Goblin. It's a really cool movie. The mechanical arms were mostly practical effects, which is really cool. Very little CGI, except when they absolutely had to. I miss when that was the case.
Me too, man. Oh, man. The best thing about these is how they've aged, right?
Yeah.
They're definitely 2002, 2004, 2007, but very watchable today. There's other movies from that era that are lost.
Oh, yeah. Then there was 2007 Spider-Man 3, which saw Peter unleash his dark side when he's infected by the Venom symbiote and hunts down Sandman and the new Green Goblin. Thomas Hayden Church played Sandman, Topher Grace played Venom, and James Franco got to play the new Green Goblin. There's elements of this movie that are really good, but overall, it's nowhere near the first two and is a real disappointment.
Yeah, it's messy. It's very messy and disorganized, mismanaged. I love some moments from that movie though. I think like the first 30 minutes to an hour I really 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 like, and it starts getting sloppy and
Yeah.
you can feel it. You
Well,
can feel it coming.
Studio interference was a big part of this one. They forced Raimi to put Venom in this movie. He didn't want to do that. He just wanted to have New Green Goblin and Sandman, which really, you take Venom out of this thing, it would work.
Yeah, Topher, sorry bud.
No way.
Just no, you don't have the chops. And Bryce Dallas Howard as Gwen Stacy.
The character of Gwen Stacy got butchered by this movie. I mean, first off, why have her in this movie at all?
I don't know.
And yeah, it's a bummer. I think his decision to kiss her in front of MJ was fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that to her? And her just, not telling him about being fired from the play and like hooking up with Harry and all this shit. It was just out of character.
Yeah. Not only is the movie sloppy, but the characters are acting sloppy.
Yeah. The only one who comes out of this thing unscathed is Sandman.
Yeah. Thomas Hayden Church. God, I love that guy.
He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I watched part of George of the Jungle recently.
Nice.
Forgot how really kind of terrible that movie is.
Yeah.
But Thomas Hayden Church is the bad guy. Lyle Vandergroot. And he's pretty good.
You should see Peanut Butter Falcon. You see he plays a big role in that movie later on in the movie.
Oh, good.
And it's like you wonder where he's been, and you're like, he's still got it. He still fucking has it.
That's great to hear. Yeah, he kind of just disappeared.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he plays Sandman again in the new one. It's kind of rumored.
I know.
I'm wondering if it's just going to be like CGI'd big sand cloud, or if we're going to actually see him.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we know what's coming with some of it, right? And
Yeah.
we know that Alfred Molina's back with Hello, Peter.
Mm-hmm.
We know Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin. There's things we know we're expecting, but there's going to be those little surprises, and I hope that's one of them.
True. The film was rebooted in 2012 with The Amazing Spider-Man, with Andrew Garfield cast as the new Spider-Man who takes on the Lizard. It's not bad. There was a sequel which sees Spidey take on Electro, another Green Goblin, and briefly the Rhino. They were teasing a Sinister Six movie we never got, which is probably for the best.
Yeah. Yeah, in those hands, yeah.
It was rebooted again in 2017 with Spider-Man Homecoming, a spin-off of Captain America Civil War, which saw Tom Holland's Spider-Man take on the Vulture. Awesome. Michael Keaton kills it as the Vulture.
Oh, yeah.
The sequel to this one sees Spidey take on Mysterio, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. Awesome. And the next sequel comes out on Friday, sees Spidey take on Spider-Man villains from other universes, particularly Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Electro, Sandman, and the Lizard from the other movies. There may be more surprises. Venom might pop up in this thing. Vulture might show up again. Who the fuck knows? The sky's the limit, really.
Yeah, they've done so well to not only make this movie like highly anticipated just because they're going to bring all this stuff into play, but it fits within what Marvel's doing, a big picture.
The multiverse.
Yeah, so cool. They've really, with Loki, and bringing in Doctor Strange the way they've done, things are just coming into play where there's eventually the next few years there's gonna be no fucking rules and they're gonna do whatever they want.
Dude, I want that so bad. I want them to be able to pick and choose from past movies what they want to keep.
Yeah.
Like, that would be amazing. I'd love to have Michael Fassbender play Magneto again. Things like that.
Christ.
Like, anything's on the table now. I mean, there's a good to fair chance we're going to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man again in this movie. It's nothing confirmed, but there's a good chance. It's crazy.
Chills.
I know.
Chills. This is what superhero movies should have always been, right?
Yeah.
Is continuity, keep the same people, learn your lessons, pull things that are good, and leave the things that are bad.
Well, I've always seen them as just a big fat sandbox, and you're there with your box of toys doing whatever the fuck you want. That's what it should be.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yep.
It's wonderful. I've said this many times, but this is the best time to be a geek. We are seeing things we've never seen before, and like, we got geeks in the positions of power to make this shit happen now, which is so great.
Correct. Geeks have the money now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I give Spider-Man a 9. It's probably my favorite Spider-Man movie. Remains one of my all-time favorites. It's a great movie.
Yeah, same. 9 for me. Definitely my favorite Spider-Man movie. I love it. This one and 2, they're in 1 and 2. I love these movies. Could talk about them all day, obviously.
Hell yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. This was a great one. If you like what we do, feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Filmgazm Productions. If you want to suggest films for us to check out, You can email us at filmgazm@gmail.com. Send us a message through the socials. Check out the website, filmgazm.com, for reviews, trailers, articles, all sorts of shit every day. If you want to support the show, you can click on Support This Podcast on your preferred provider. We appreciate any and all donations, but it's not necessary. We hope you just enjoyed the show. Next week, since it's Christmas week, we're tackling a Christmas-themed horror movie at co-host Caleb Leger's request. A crazy orphan in a Santa suit goes on a killing spree in 1984's Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Oh, yeah.
Tune in next week for that crazy-ass film. I haven't seen it yet, but I am looking forward to it. Caleb's been plugging this thing since we started the podcast. Like, he's wanted to do this on Christmas forever, so we're finally doing it. I'm sure it's probably going to suck, but I don't care. It's going to be fun. Don't miss Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse on Oscar Sunday, and of course, Spider-Man No Way Home, among others, on Monday's sneak preview. Until then, don't test any experimental performance enhancers on yourself, try to avoid any spider bites, and keep watching movies.